That's where
J Max in town.
Oh, he is. He's probably too busy to do this shit though, huh?
He's actually told me he's gonna text me here in a little bit. He's up north, up putting the kids to sleep, and he wants to hook up. He wants to go and grab a drink or something afterwards. And so, figure we crank as long as we can, and then whenever he decides to get shit rolling, dude, I turned off all the filtering and all the kind of stuff on the camera, man. It looks freaking. How sharp do I? How sharp do I look, G-Dub?
Crystal clear, baby. Absolutely. Can you see the background?
Rainbow babies. What's that? Rainbow what?
Rainbow Randolph.
Rainbow Randolph.
Did you see? You saw Robin Williams died, right?
Yeah. What the hell's up with that shit?
Hey, there's Scott. Okay.
What's up, boys?
Oh, and Al's in this one too.
Hey,
Scott?
so is Zach.
Hey, how's it
Scott,
going?
you there? All right. Somehow I got Al, did you start this one?
Yeah.
What did you
There
start?
we go.
What's that?
Look at those ugly bastards.
What did you start it under?
The Blood Boiler one. I logged in as Blood Boilers and created and made it.
Oh, okay.
It
I
was
was
like
also logged in, and somehow I got kicked out, so that's probably why.
I did it about
Well, now you know who's running the show, motherfucker.
20 minutes. It was about 20 minutes to 9. I started it and I kind of hung out and waited.
Here comes Smoochie.
Yep.
Oh shit! I got my Al Qaeda beard going. See?
Yeah.
Very
Working,
nice.
bro.
Dude, I saw that red. You changed your profile today on something, and it's all red and like evil looking. Have you not?
Oh
know
yeah,
the
man.
one I'm talking about?
On Facebook, I reposted the. It was about time because my hair was too short in the other one. I'm like, oh, that's an old picture.
It looks like you're a murderer.
Yeah, I got that evil look in my face going on. Yeah. Jay, he had texted me about half an hour ago, and he when he gets the kids down, he's gonna we're gonna try to go grab a drink or do something. So.
All right. Well, he should stop by your house and
That's
join.
what I thought. The only thing is he's like way up in Linwood or somewhere way the heck up there.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what's going on. He's gonna text later on, but I figure we can get going.
All right. Well, boys, let's. I guess we're already live, right? So
Yeah,
we're
I hit the
recording?
button. I hit the button prematurely.
That's all
That
right.
happens.
It does.
We have such engaging intros too.
Oh yeah, G-Dub comes on, and I'm listening to SoundCloud to make sure the audio's working, and here's what I'm listening to. Oh yeah. I had like this. I told him I had to play music that people who like own it aren't gonna sue me. You know, everybody's with their undies and a bunch with the copyright stuff, so I have to find some obscure, crazy crap that no one's gonna think otherwise.
Well, that's good. All right. Well, let's get to it. Let's talk about that. Al, you had something pressing that you wanted to talk about
I
from
hate
the
the Wander list again.
the,
I wanted
the Satanists.
the Satanist people are using the same thing that the Hobby Lobby people used to. Let me go to the full story here so I can remember.
Yeah.
Do you check the notes at all, Dub, about that?
We talked about this in episode 2.5, actually, the one that only me and Wally showed up for.
Did you read off the thing? Then tell me, recap it on me again.
All right, well, there's the Satanist side. I don't know whatever their correct name is, but they actually advertise themselves not just as a religious group, but a group that's open for agnostics, atheists.
I think they're called Lucifists.
Lucifists.
So if you're a member, you're a Lucifister?
But basically,
Luciferian.
because we granted Hobby Lobby religious freedom in denying prescription coverage, the Satanists are saying it's against their religion to have to attend a mandatory abortion class before Lucifists have an abortion. Okay. Because in certain backwards conservative states, before you can have an abortion, you have to go and take a class and see what a little baby looks like and blah, blah, blah before you kill it. So...
Yeah, this group, called the Satanic Temple, and I guess they're
Whoa, what's going on
what
there?
the hell is going on?
Well, take your finger off the mic, Wally.
What?
What are you doing?
What's going
there's
on?
There's
From
a
like
damn
hurricane.
blue. There's like a Luciferian blue light piercing my eyes that I have to cover.
You're
like,
here, my
ah.
son.
I have to snuff it out like a baby's life.
This is also the
Anyways.
same group that had the giant statue of Satan built next to the Ten Commandments statue.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and they're known as the friendliest cult on earth or something like that. And I think it's a little bit more tongue-in-cheek what they do,
Yeah.
more than really believe in Satan. But they go around whenever they see like religious injustice of any sort, they protest it and they file lawsuits and whatnot, and really just to draw attention to the cause. So their claim is, since Hobby Lobby, you can claim religious exemption from providing birth control. You can also claim religious exemption from following other laws, and namely the abortion law. I think it's pretty clever. I mean, it doesn't. No one's going to take them seriously at all. No legislature, no court is going to take them seriously. But I mean, their arguments sound. It's the exact same argument that Hobby Lobby used.
Well,
so.
you say they're not going to be taken seriously, but they had a giant statue of fucking Satan built next to the Ten Commandments. To prove that. And if we're going to take law seriously, we're going to grant religious rights to a corporation, but not a religious affiliation.
Well, I mean,
don't know
that's the
if
thing is they should be
Lucifer
taken.
was-
I'm saying they should be taken seriously, just like any. If we're gonna grant this protection to a corporation, it makes sense that we would grant that to everyone. But that we know that it's not the intent of the ruling and the law. The intent is to help rich people maintain their wealth, and that's really all it is.
Yeah.
Now, if they portray Jesus as white like they do in our country, what do you think Lucifer is?
He's red,
don't
isn't he?
I think he's a cartoon character. He's just made up. But
Oh, an Indian.
speaking of this whole
He's
Indian.
different-
No.
he's
Just because I
different from
said
Jesus
red, I
how
meant
then?
red skin.
well, now I know this
Yeah.
is this is a little bit off topic, but you mentioned the white Jesus. And there is a TV show. I don't know what channel it's on. I think it's on Adult Swim late at night.
It's got to be on BET.
It's called Black Jesus.
I heard of that.
Have you guys seen this thing? I just heard a little bit of it on the radio the one day.
I hope it's Chris Rock.
And Jesus Jesus smokes weed and Jesus drinks 40s and stuff. Yeah, I'm serious. That's a real
I
show.
got one. Me and the boy are gonna sit down with Cheerios and watch this.
Oh god, a show for Christian stereotypes and black stereotypes. I'm fucking T-bone that shit, man.
No kidding.
But if you think about it, I mean, again, this is just like what everybody has made this illusion of what in their head Jesus would be like. Technically, this might be, if Jesus comes back, he's not going to come back looking like he's got a robe on and stuff, barefoot walking down the street, you know what I mean? He might be this way, you know?
He
He's
might
gonna
be,
turn-
this middle
Turn
class.
water into Magnum 40s.
At a block party, not a wedding, though.
Damn, yo, you said
Yeah,
Magnum
right.
40s for last?
What's this? St. Ides? I never knew no St. Ides.
Oh, that'd be great if you get a young Billy D. Williams to play the part.
Drinking St. Ides.
Samuel L. Jackson's got to play him in the movie.
Oh God, no!
Jesus?
That guy's still overrated.
Yeah.
You can only be an angry black man for so many roles before you're like, dude, you gotta have something else. Honestly.
Has he ever done like a romantic movie or a comedy?
Yeah, kind of like Black Snake Moan.
I was just going to say Black Snake.
You know, that girl I had chained to a radiator, she never did that. That's crazy.
Yeah. So how about Robin Williams dying today?
Dude, that's terrible.
Oh
Well,
my
you can
God.
see I'm representing Zach. I don't know
Yeah,
if you noticed that.
I see that in the back. That's pretty good. Dude, what a mess up.
That's a bummer.
I read Asphyxiation, Suicide
heard
by
that too.
Asphyxiation, and my wife and I were trying to think what kind of asphyxiation could it be. Like he hung himself? Did he choke himself with his with exhaust from his car? I mean,
Wait.
what do you think that could mean?
Well, he could have taken pills and thrown up and like choked
Okay.
on it.
Would that be? Yeah, I guess that technically is an overdose because you die from the vomit, not the.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that black guy in New York City that was smoking cigarettes, he died of asphyxiation, but it wasn't suicide.
Yeah, that was far from suicide. That same thing, well, not the same thing, but another brother in East St. Louis today got
Yeah.
gunned down.
You know, looting in the name of civil rights—that's kind of the new thing, isn't it?
Now, the thing that really gets to me when it comes to that stuff is, I always hear when they say this guy got shot, he pretty much, I always say, did he listen to what the cop said? And every single time one of these guys dies or whatever, they never just listen to and do what the cop tells them to do.
Right. He was
But
fighting the cops.
I'm not defending the cop at any stretch of imagination. I'm not defending the guy, but it's like, dude, seriously, if the cop tells you to do something, you just fucking do it. You don't.
In general, yeah.
Yeah, you just do.
Well-
You don't for a second even pretend that you're not gonna do what they say because they're looking for every little thing to do whatever the fuck they want to do. You know?
But I think a lot of cops, though, they're so poorly trained and so poorly regulated by their own supervisors and by their own blue thin line or whatever you want to call it, that they don't police themselves in the sense that a lot of them escalate problems. They make something that's very minor, and by shouting at the person, scaring the person, putting their hand on their gun or pointing their gun at them, or spraying them with pepper spray or a taser, they escalate these problems needlessly, and an accident always ends up happening in these situations.
I have some family members.
And I
You
might
have to consider
I want
is
to point out too that there's a complete lack of intelligence in a small minority of them where they want to escalate situations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's this ingrained racism that a lot of police officers have.
Yeah,
and,
for
and it's
sure.
not just cops. I mean, fucking dentists have racism. But I'm
Yeah.
just saying that when you're racist and you hold the law in your hands and a gun in your hands, things escalate. A dentist, what? He's not going to fill your cavity. That's no big deal. But a fucking cop is going to shoot you.
Right.
So, I think there's a lot of problems, and I think this country, we need a higher educated police force. We need police forces with
Completely.
bachelor's degrees, not just these boot camps that they go to. We need people with bachelor's degrees,
Do you
not.
guys remember the guys who became cops that you went to school with?
I do.
Now tell me, what were those guys like? I'm sure some of them were great guys, but there had to be a few that you're like, holy shit, that motherfucker became a cop.
Yeah. Well, a guy who I went to high school with, he became a cop. He ended up getting busted for stalking some chick. I mean,
Oh,
this guy
Jesus.
was borderline psychotic as it was, and he got his badge and a gun and a fucking, a squad car, and he did this for a few years until, after he got busted for stalking some chick, I don't know whatever happened to him, but, I mean, I know another guy who became a cop because his dad was a cop. He was the biggest fucking bully we had in our high school, just the biggest cock we had, and now he's a
Yeah.
state trooper. So
Right.
There was a story on NPR I heard earlier today about some cops that got nailed doing this kind of shit where they would, I mean, they were crooked for years and years and years. I mean, they would take the drugs from the friggin' criminals and go and sell them. I mean, they were that bad. And it was an interesting story because you just think you can live above the law at that point. It's just. That's
Right.
Well, it's like those two cops in Bay City that it was on national news. They stole the guy's cell phone,
cell phone, yeah.
and just because the guy took a picture of them harassing another person, So
Yeah.
I mean, I understand cops wanting to have each other's backs, because that's kind of the right thing to do in very dangerous situations. But to have your back when the other cop is in the wrong for harassing somebody, or we need a better transparency. I think two things. I already said I think the police departments need to. There needs to be a bachelor's degree required because they find that cops with bachelor's degrees have less civil rights violations accused. They're accused of less civil rights violations throughout their career, and they also are engaged in less domestic violence. They don't take their jobs home the way uneducated police officers do. And then, the second thing I would have, besides the bachelor's degree, is I would have civilian oversight committees for all police departments nationwide. And right now, not very many municipalities have civilian oversight committees. These are people who can fire police officers, who have the authority to investigate and fire police officers, and they're civilians, so they're not, and they're usually elected or they're appointed by a mayor, not the chief of police. So they're outside of the law enforcement realm, and they oversee and monitor the police officers.
Has this ever been instituted, or is this just something you made up in your head?
No. There's a lot of places that have this. I know the city of Detroit has this.
Oh, well, that really cut down on the corruption there, I can see.
Well, no, but it has started. It's only been in place for like 5 years, so it's started to clean it up. It came under the FBI required them to do this when the FBI had to take over the police department for a few years. I don't know if you remember that about 9 years ago, the FBI.
Yeah.
Well, I remember it because I got jumped in Detroit, and that wasn't a very good experience.
Because you had cigarettes, man.
You know, bro.
Wasn't that at Jay's bachelor party?
Yeah, that was really great.
Are we gonna have bachelor party 2.0 for Jay?
I don't know.
That doesn't work.
Hey, you know what else all police should be required to do? Go to Tony Stewart driving school.
Then we wouldn't have police shootings. We just have police run-ins or police.
Well, that'd be the bachelor degree cost enough to just run someone over, because you can only, when intent only lies in the officer's head, you never know what he's trying to do.
I say if we do have a party for Jay, we have to get that small little Sunfire that Trisha Thorne drove around. We all have to pile on that thing again.
Oh, God.
You guys remember
small
that?
Little stripper.
She had like a little Sunfire that was convertible, and got like all 5 of us or 6 of us in there.
That was ridiculous. Awesomely ridiculous.
We got to talk about what happened in Bay City the last couple of days here. All this water bullshit.
Yeah. Hey, what about you guys? You guys got that issue going?
They think they found it. They think they found the leak. But Brooke doesn't trust it. She's like, whatever. We got tons of bottled water. The worst part about it is, okay, the national news this morning has on CBS. They show basically, millions of gallons of water disappearing. They don't know where the main break is, right? They show footage, and it's these guys working on the main, and it's like these fat, bald guys with sleeveless shirts on. Okay? I'm like, good God, you could not make Bay City, Michigan look any stupider.
You know, it's funny, when we're talking about the phones, the cops that took the phone that made national news, it was funny because, like, I forgot how, like, local Bay City news is, like, I've been in, like, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm, now Atlanta, and I'm used to, like, the kind of higher budget news, and then I see TV5 on national news, and all the sportscasters are crowded around their little flat screen TV, and they're, like, pointing at the flat screen, like, they're, like, just everything on these technology,
No, imagine this is a touch screen and I'm moving things on it.
Yeah.
They're gonna hear me talking shit. Next year they're gonna get the what's Fox Shepard Smith's room with the giant iPads? Have you seen that? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I've seen that.
The one of the pictures in MLive have they're there at a staff meeting about the from the Public Works Department, and one of the workers, he's wearing flip-flops.
Oh my God!
If you look at the picture,
I like that.
He's in the meeting
That's
wearing
what we need.
flip-flops. I'm like, is this guy going down into the sewers with flip-flops on? Because that just doesn't seem sanitary to me.
That's the kind of guy I want running the place.
Guess who doesn't have a foot fetish this week?
Yeah.
You know what? It may have been ISIS's first terrorist attack in America, just up from Dearborn.
Yeah, they
flown in from Damascus.
We're gonna flood at Millie's Bread Company.
Yeah, right.
They meant to get Dow Chemical, but they missed and got Bay County instead.
Yeah.
The best part of
They're
it,
like,
on the local.
their first plan was to get the sewage, but then they realized they just dumped it in the river anyways.
Yeah.
The best part is they had interviewed some yuppie guy. And he's like, I'm not gonna wash my car today or turn on my sprinklers on my
Oh
lawn.
my
Oh,
god!
no. Well, thank God you're such a freaking humanitarian.
Well,
You
they,
know,
children, thank you.
today I'm not gonna aerate the golf course when I golf.
well, they interviewed this one lady too. They went to a dry cleaner or a laundromat, and she was doing her laundry, and they're like, "Do you know about the water shortage?" She's like, "No, but if there is one, I got to do my laundry because I'm not gonna have clean clothes for a week if there's no water."
That's awesome.
So she still did her laundry on the
man.
water shortage day. But
What are you gonna drink? Well, ain't gonna be a shortage of Coca-Cola.
well, speaking of
I run
ice,
off of well water, so the only thing I really have to fear is an EMP attack. So
No, now,
man.
just not before we jump to the next thing, I would like to tie this into Detroit shutting off everybody's water. I mean, that's also kind of a side note on this whole thing, I would say, because it's kind of like.
well, it's a pretty big deal down here. It's
absolutely, yeah.
I mean, there's been a lot of lawsuits filed against the city for doing this, and Duggan, the new mayor, who really has no authority whatsoever, because we have an emergency financial manager, Mike or Ken Orr, but Duggan, he has made the decision that the water treatment plant will work through a 10-step process where they try to collect the money from you. They'll work with you. They'll provide you with grants in order to pay off your debt and things like this. But he pretty much said, you know, these are plans that we've already been using. We're just going to educate the public more about these options that you have. And we're going to resume shutting off water, I think, August 25th or something like that. They're going to resume it again. So it's going to go back to the same way. But, you know, every legal scholar around here says they have the right to do it. These people have been using a lot of water. And some of it's not just, you know, they're not really going after the individual homeowner. They're really going after businesses that have not been paying their water bills. And the thing is, though, a lot of these businesses are owned by minorities, and so they're trying to claim that this is discrimination of some sort. It's not. It's just because everyone in Detroit's a minority. So
the thing is, it's just like if they just pay your freaking bill.
well, I mean, some of these
I know
bills
you
are
just
so
said
big
that,
now. They're like
yeah.
$300, $400, and these people don't have that money. You know, they're unemployed. Unemployment in Detroit is 25%. In the city of Detroit, it's 25%. A lot of people. Well, I should say joblessness is 25%, not unemployment. Unemployment is like 12%, but that's a pretty big deal. And then you couple that with an illiteracy rate of 57%. Jobs aren't coming to Detroit anytime soon. There's no way for these people to earn the money to pay off their water bills. So it's a big problem.
Yes. Oh, so what's next? What are we doing next here? Let's hit something.
Well, ISIS, the whole Islamic State group that's over in Iraq, that's been terrorizing Iraq recently. What do you guys think about?
Freedom fighters.
Well, freedom for Islam.
Smoochie.
Yeah. What do you guys think about us bombing northern Iraq to free the or to punish ISIS and also to help the small Christian population that's in Iraq?
Well, you know, United States intervention in the Middle East, it's gone so well so far. So
This is my question before these guys, you know, they know, you guys know way more about all this that's going on than me. But why do they have to announce when all this other shit, when we do all this kind of shit? Like, it's immediate. Like, the media is like right on top of all this stuff. Can't the government kind of go and do some shit and without the people know? I mean, I know that's not exactly American. Yes, transparency, all this bullshit. But can't we just fucking wipe these motherfuckers out? And
you know why we do it,
get some
Al? Because we
control.
can.
That's a
We can't.
that's a
because
valid
we fucking
observation.
can.
That's a good point, though. I mean, why do you have to just bomb them for a week and then be like, hey, you know, we shred some people?
I
here,
mean, I know the government
Because
does some shit.
there's reporters over there.
No. But
there's reporters over there that would report on it and be like, hey, apparently there's bombing, and we're pretty sure those are American planes, but America hasn't said anything yet. And, now it's into day 7 of the bombing, and America still has remained silent on it.
so let them do what TMZ does and just speculate on everything.
And you know what? People didn't know about Tarawa and Guadalcanal and Iwo Jima for.
I'm sure back in the day there wasn't when Twitter didn't exist, and yes, Dan Rather's on the ground. I love Dan Rather. These reporters that are there covering this shit are fucking amazing, doing what they should do, doing what they need to do. But man, nowadays it's like you take a piss in the wrong spot and everybody's tweeting about it.
Well, when are we gonna start using these nuclear weapons we spend so much damn money for?
We don't need to. We have bombs that do just the same amount of damage without the radiation.
Well, I know, but they don't cost as much, and there's not that much radiation anymore. And if there is, that's okay. Then they can't go back.
This may be a naive perspective, but shit or get off the pot. Okay, either get the fuck out of there, or like Wally said, end it.
But really, I mean, the reason they announced it is for a couple of reasons. One, we'd rather have the reporters evacuate than accidentally get good footage of us just bombing the fuck out of people. Two, it gives the opportunity for innocent people to try and evacuate. And 3, because we fucking can. We can go on. We're one of the only countries in the world that announces, I mean, in the history of the world, that goes on TV, or to the media, I should say to the media if we're going to talk about history of the world, and says, all right, we're going to invade in 24 hours. We're going to drop electron bombs, knock out electricity, then we're going to bomb all the Air Force bases and destroy the Air Force. I mean, we pinpoint exactly what we're going to fucking do on TV because we can. Our military security.
And another thing is, too, we try to control the story. If our armed forces and our government leak it to the press or provide press releases, we control the story. We frame the story the way we want it to be told, rather than some child with one limb missing and a bloody eye, saying I was attacked by Americans. If we control it this way, the footage is now on American leadership rather than the war-torn in the middle of the desert.
So what you're telling me is we're the most powerful nation, and we're also the most insecure control freaks on the planet.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But here's the thing. I think by doing this action, by going into Iraq like this, we have just opened the door for Russia to claim the exact same thing in Ukraine and say, we're going into Ukraine for humanitarian reasons.
Well, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, and just today they announced that they're going to join the International Red Cross and go into southeastern Ukraine on humanitarian aid missions. And
wait, Russia did that?
Yeah, Russia just announced it probably around 3 o'clock today or 4 o'clock today.
So what you're telling me is Russia's like the Satanist religion, right? They're using the same shit.
Yeah.
In a roundabout way.
Just like the Satanists are using the Hobby Lobby decision, the Russians are using the Iraqi ISIS decision.
Just when we need Robin Williams to do Good Morning Ukraine.
Good morning, Ukraine.
Son of a bitch chokes off, man.
Yeah.
Maybe an issue.
It's terrible.
Do you think he maybe have died from, when people choke themselves to whack off?
That's the first thing I thought of, man. Like David Carradine, the Kung Fu guy.
Yeah, the Kung Fu master.
Yeah.
I thought the same thing.
Robin Williams, a few weeks ago, he checked into rehab again. Depression. And his management said it. He hasn't fallen off the wagon. He's just reaffirming his sobriety after a tough few weeks or whatever. And I think he probably was on a tailspin of drugs and just fucking ended it,
Yeah. Well, he was on that TV show, that sitcom, that
Mork and Mindy.
Oh yeah.
Mork and Mindy. Wow.
Yeah, that one. But I mean,
it was
just the recent one with Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yeah, you're
right.
No wonder he hung himself.
Well, I think it just got.
I'm gonna kill myself before Buffy kills me.
Yeah, Buffy came in and strangled his ass.
He's like, oh shit, I was Dead Poet Society. Now I'm on a shitty comedy with Michelle Gellar.
I actually liked the comedy. I thought it was pretty good.
Oh, I didn't see it. I probably would like.
They were like designers or something, weren't they?
Yeah.
I've never seen a show.
They were
with him in it
advertisers. Yeah. But he was fucking nuts in that. I mean.
Yeah.
have you ever seen live takes with him? Like, he is so hard to control in an interview. I can't imagine what he's like on a set, for a director to try to control him on a set.
Yeah, especially when he was on a lot of cocaine in the 80s and shit.
Oh, yeah.
Nano.
My wife had no clue what Mork and Mindy was.
That's funny.
How many years younger?
Is it on Netflix? I should show her like a couple episodes on Netflix.
Oh, dude, I'm gonna watch that.
Yeah.
How many
What you
years
talking
younger
about,
is
Willis?
you?
She's 8 years younger than me.
Yeah, it's a Red 6. If I said Mork and Mindy, she wouldn't know what the hell it is either.
Yeah.
She'd be like, who the fuck's Mindy?
You know what's funny is there was an episode on this last sitcom he was on where Mindy, the lady who played Mindy, was on this show as his love interest, and they kept talking about how they feel like they had this past relationship, and they always allude to the Mork and Mindy show, but it was pretty funny, pretty clever.
So I hear Russia did all these sanctions, counter sanctions, if you will, and
yeah, dude, those are huge.
That's like our number one exporter or number two export nation for our chicken. So I guess chicken prices are supposedly going to fall really low, and then production's going to go low, and prices will go back up. But that's interesting.
Yeah, so they banned all food from Europe, all food imports from Europe, Canada, Japan, United States, and Australia. That's fucking crazy, dude. So, that is such a huge mistake for them because they don't grow enough of their own food.
Yeah.
They're going to have to import that shit from China.
See, the nice thing is, lucky for the Russians, is they don't give a flying fuck about the people. So if they're starving and have nothing to eat, they don't care.
It's kind of like our
all the
government.
Politicians are rich and can absorb the costs of an increase in food, but oh my god, dude!
Sounds like our government.
Well, they have a problem with Russia has a huge problem with people defecting. I mean, I guess you can't really call it defecting because Russia's technically a free democracy right now, but
yeah,
a lot of people leave the country and never come back, and that's a huge problem they have, and it's now with this food shortage that they're going to have over the next year. They're going to be dumbfounded by how many young people they end up losing.
Well, luckily they're just going to invade Ukraine and take all their food and starve a few more million Ukrainians. Just another 60-year cycle.
Oh, Jesus.
Fucking
do you think that'll turn into a war? Like, an all-out war with Europe and Russia?
No, Europe's too big of a pussy. They need natural gas.
Yeah, they need their oil, too.
One thing I don't understand is we should have a serious, we should be building Liberty ships at a fast pace like we did then and filling them with natural gas and shipping them to Europe. We could be doing that and making money hand over fist at the same time.
Yep.
There's no reason not to do that.
Wouldn't that drive up the natural gas
prices
for honest Americans, though?
What's that?
We have so much natural gas.
Wouldn't that cause a shortage of natural gas?
Well,
or cause the prices to go up for all these people with their propane tanks.
We could just send them a bunch of blankets with smallpox on it. That'll keep them warm.
Ebola, come on.
Well, I know Spain and Denmark and a lot of the northern European countries, they are heavily diversified, in alternative fuels. So much to the point where Spain has said, if you cut off our gas, oh well, no big deal, because we get they get 40% of all their energy from solar power that they buy from Morocco anyway. So yeah, they're not worried about it.
Well, I'm glad Spain will be fine.
Yeah. Well, I mean, other countries will start to follow suit. They'll say, hey, northern African countries, why don't you build solar panels for us and we'll buy energy from you rather than from Russia,
Yeah.
I think crises like this, as bad as they are for the amount of deaths that occur and the shock to the economy that it is, we always figure out ways. Mankind always figure out ways to overcome these issues, and I think one of the best ways is to diversify our energy portfolios, and it gives us an opportunity, an excuse, an actual political excuse to switch to solar or wind or geothermal or tidal energy. So
or maybe drill for natural gas in your own.
Yeah, but a lot of these countries are so small and they don't have the, there just isn't they don't have the right kind of bedrock and stuff like that for natural gas anyways. So it's not like it's everywhere. It's only in certain places. It's only where shale really is. And if your bedrock's not shale, you just don't have it. So anyways.
What's next? What do we got?
What's next? I think, Al, your NSA chief.
Yeah.
The patent hacking detection technology that was developed. Why don't you tell us about that?
The guy who knows how to, or quote unquote, supposedly knows how to, keep information from being, eavesdropped upon, will help people out, businesses in particular, but it's going to cost you $1 million a month in order for him to do that. And they did recently. This is coming secondhand, but they did this kind of like hacker kind of thing with the common people and the government, right? And the people who these young tech geeky nerdy people just annihilated the government as far as like being able to protect or get into stuff. I mean, they were cracking into systems in a fraction of the time that the government was able to do the exact same thing. So it's just like, how can this guy claim to be able to provide any type of protection? And this comes on the tail end of Russia just last week saying they have billions of usernames and passwords and all this stuff. Yeah. So I'm just wondering how this guy can guarantee that his $1 million a month is a well spent.
That's a good point.
The common guy, the common people can hack into systems faster than the actual government itself, and the Russians supposedly, I don't even know if that story, there was questioning whether or not that was a legitimate story or not, or if it was just something that they had put out there, too. But what's your thoughts on that, man? This guy pretty much is saying, hey, give me $1 million bucks and I'll.
It's like that LifeLock guy. Apparently, you know how he drove around with his Social Security number on the back of his truck for a long time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's actually had his identity stolen like 19 times. Like LifeLock is not that good of a company, and they make this claim. But this guy to charge $1 million a month. Okay, so now you got to think about who would be his clientele. Blackwater is probably one of his clientele. Maybe like a Google company. These.
I think Google's got their own shit.
Well, but I mean a company that, I don't know, maybe a black version of Google. You know what I mean?
Think about it. I mean, what in the world is worth $1 million a month that you would? I don't think that is. I mean, because you can't guarantee that. First of all.
Well, if you're Lockheed Martin, you don't want your weapon specs getting out there and being shared with the world. Other kind of weapons companies and things like that may be willing to do this. Companies that protect the identity and the I don't know, the stock exchange maybe wants this kind of service, to prevent being hacked and whatnot. I can see a lot of people who would be potential users. But you're right. The thing is, though, because he's the NSA director, he probably knows who all the hackers are.
Yeah,
and he has probably gone and tried to hire them and say, "Hey, work for me."
The conflict of interest.
Block those IP addresses. It's fine now.
It is the conflict of interest in this situation is just like screaming with a megaphone on top of a megaphone. I mean, what the hell? How can this guy legitimately go from this to this?
Well, the best part is he doesn't have to provide a good service. I mean, you get 20 companies that signed up. Say it's a 3-month lease. That's $60 million. You fuck up and they get hacked. Oh well, you just made $60 million.
Yeah, you fold after 3 months.
Well, it's not just that. All you have to do, you know the ins and outs of every part of their system at that point. They don't pay you, and then you fuck with their system, and they're like, well, you probably should be protected, huh? You probably shouldn't stop paying me that $1 million.
Well, there was I remember a few years ago, there was a big to-do about McAfee or one of the other companies that they were probably the largest contributor of viruses on the computer. They were actually writing viruses themselves, releasing them, and then charging people for updates to their antivirus software. So yeah, I mean, this industry is not regulated in the very much, and I can easily see this NSA chief. I mean, he's a fucking spook as it is. Of course he's going to go in there and not bankrupt, but blackmail companies into doing business.
The other funny thing about it is
the comparison of this is like a guy who controls all of the roofies in an entire bar, okay? And he says, pay me this much money and I will keep you from, putting these nobody will use the roofies, but if you don't, I'm going to start just giving, it could be open to anybody. Anybody could grab a roofie and throw it in somebody's drink. And, it's just, if you boil it down to how crazy that sounds, that's exactly what it is. This guy, it's freaking insane.
Well, another funny story was, I think the company is called HB Gary, and they're in charge of the FBI security, and they specifically mentioned going after Anonymous and 4chan and all that shit. And I think, like, the next day or two, Anonymous had hacked into HB Gary's corporate email accounts, talking about information all over the internet.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's probably Snowden.
Snowden, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's like some 13-year-old kid in his parents' basement.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yep.
Like, it really, like, from my understanding, it really doesn't even take all that much intelligence to hack. It just takes you wanting to do it and willing to take the risk, and having some basic computer knowledge. I don't know, I mean, when you talk about hacking, like, 1.2 billion accounts like those Russians did, I'm sure that takes some know-how, but...
I'm sure that takes some KGB help.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Snowden was back there showing them how to do that shit if they didn't know how to do it themselves.
You mean like guiding a surface-to-air missile to take down a plane?
Right, yeah.
That's my question, alright? That's what I was thinking about, like, when there's, like, supposedly 1.2 billion accounts hacked. Like, and I'm watching the local news, and the first thing they do is have this, like, little thing about how to make an extra safe password. If they hacked 1/3 of the people, there's 3 billion people on the internet. If they hacked 1/3 of those accounts, 1.2 billion, how important is it to have a safe fucking password? All right, I'm sure at least like 500 million of those people have like letters, numbers, and capital letters. It's a non-factor.
And they probably target the ones that have the more difficult passwords so that they can say, well, this guy took the time to do the password this way, and let's see if he uses it in these other spots. It's probably safer to have the dumb password that everybody fucking uses.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about hacking 1 billion people, dude, I'm sure it doesn't fucking matter. It's like one giant database of passwords.
And
get hold of,
It's also, you have to look at the man hours. Like, okay, yeah, they're gonna sell a lot of this stuff off to criminals and whatnot, but 1.2 billion passwords or accounts or whatever, that'll take almost a lifetime for the number of hackers out there to go through those accounts and see if any of those accounts are worth anything. So, and plus, if anyone broke into my accounts, they'd realize what a fucking dipshit I am and how poor I am and how bad credit I have. And they're going to be like, if we started spending money of his and whatnot, he'd probably raise his credit score. And, so if someone broke into my shit, they're only going to improve my credit score. They're not going to hurt it.
Yeah, plus you can't buy Russian vodka on Amazon, so I don't know what they're going to do with my shit.
Yeah.
The thing is, now that you think about it, though, it sounds very James Bondish. These guys are stealing username and passwords. They're probably not aiming at me, who makes, like, piddly crap stuff, like you're saying. They're aiming for the big accounts so they can start sucking the money out of this and do this and this. And, like, what the hell do I have to worry about?
I'm sure they're trying to figure out of those billion how many of those people have good credit or some money or some accounts.
Yeah.
Well, they know by where you're shopping who to target.
Right.
Like, I mean, if you steal from me, you're making like $5 an hour in the end of what you're working for. You know what I mean?
Yeah, after taxes, but right.
Al, you said that they're going to go after the big accounts. I don't think so, because the big accounts will draw attention to them, and the FBI will get involved and whatnot. They're going to go after 100 people like you and me, who, when we call the police send a fucking rookie cop who's never used a computer in his life, so they're not. Fuck, my tires got slashed a few years ago, and they never even sent a single fucking cop to my house.
Yeah.
So they're going to go to people like us where the cops don't know shit, and they're not going to get involved, and they're just not interested in internet crimes. They're interested in physical or real crimes.
Well, I know locally they're unlike
Except slashing tires.
unlike the fatties fixing the water. I know that there is a local FBI agency that has visited where I work in discussing cybercrime, since we handle some, a decent amount of sites and things like this, and they said that if anything suspicious happens, to get a hold of them. So, there's a little bit of a more active role, and I mean, as much as locally you can be, but yeah, we're living in a whole different kind of world. At what point are we like old and we start to talk like grandma and grandpa, like these young kids today, their internet? I mean, we're gonna get to the point where we don't. What the fuck? We're not gonna know what the fuck's going on. It's gonna be like rotary phones and shit.
Well, I see kids walking around that aren't that much younger than us, and I'm just like, put the fucking phone down. I mean, you almost ran into 10 people, or even, older women. Older women are crazy on this stuff.
Well,
the thing I notice in Bay City is they're either smoking while they're driving, or they are on their phones.
Or both.
Two things.
Or dodging water in the road.
J-Mac is absolutely horrible about texting and driving. I wish he was here to defend himself right now, but
He's horrible about driving.
Yeah, he is a pretty bad driver, but he's, oh my god, like, I'm like, we're just going up to the grocery store, to the convenience store, and he has to text like 7 people on the way up there, and oh my god. A couple times I'm like, dude!
Yeah.
Yeah, his texting's probably slowed down now that he's engaged, though, I imagine.
Well, yeah, now that he's living with the chick, it's probably changed dramatically, but...
Yeah.
Did someone just add some stuff to Wunderlist?
Nope, I just took my two topics off of it.
Oh, okay, I heard the blinging going on. So. Alright. Well, gents, I think that's a pretty good show today. It was only about 45 minutes or so by the time me and Scott got on, but... do this same time next week, Monday?
Right on.
Sounds good.
Alright, guys. You guys have a great week.
Good, man. Fun stuff.
Alright.
All right.
Bye.
You guys later.
I'm still drinking.
I'd expect nothing less.
I'm taking off,
Here's
boys.
one for Smooch.
Jay. He's gonna scoot into town here, so I'm gonna go grab a drink with Jay.
Alright.
Right on,
Have fun. Tell him we
yeah.
said hi.
All right, guys. See you guys later.
Bye.